Winter is my favorite time to wear fragrances, so let's talk about some of my favorite winter fragrances. What's up everyone, my name is Eamon and a lot of you know me as the Frag Stop on TikTok, and welcome to my first ever real YouTube video. And today we're going to talk about the best winter fragrances for 2024. And before we get started, today's scent of the day is MFK's Gentle Fluidity Silver. This is a beautiful, fresh and fizzy fragrance. Smells a little bit like a soda water with some berries in it. And let's get started with this fragrance, Parfums de Marly's Herod. This is a smooth, smoky tobacco and vanilla fragrance. As soon as you spray this fragrance, you get that spicy vanilla mixed in with the cinnamon, and the more this stuff dries down, the more of that tobacco starts to come to light. But the tobacco in this fragrance is not your loud, screechy, headache-inducing tobacco. It's more of a subtle tobacco that smells absolutely amazing and is very, very well blended, which makes this fragrance very versatile and allows you to wear it to many, many settings. Now, the only downside to this fragrance is that it doesn't project or last as long as it should. I get around 5 to 6 hours, but because of how good this stuff smells, I'm willing to overlook that, but just keep that in mind if you're thinking of buying this fragrance. Next is a fragrance that I absolutely love to wear in both the summer and winter months, but enjoy more in winter. It's Nishane Ani. Now, I wouldn't call this a gourmand fragrance, but it definitely smells edible and good enough to eat. As soon as you spray this, you get a blast of spiced citruses mixed in with a beautiful vanilla that slowly takes over as the fragrance dries down. It's definitely a weird combination, but it just works so well in this fragrance. And if I had to compare it to something, I would say that this stuff smells like a beautiful vanilla lemon cake. And being a Nishane fragrance, this is an extrait de parfum, so it's no slouch in the performance department. This stuff will easily last up to 12 hours and project very, very heavily. Is it really a winter fragrance list without oud fragrances? The answer is of course no, and I honestly had a really tough time choosing between these two fragrances, so I opted to include both of them in this video. This is Louis Vuitton's Ombré Nomade, and this is Maison Crivelli's Oud Maracuja. Both of these are oud-based fragrances. Ombré Nomade is more of your traditional oud and leather fragrance that's drier, more mature, and more for formal occasions, whereas Oud Maracuja is a passion fruit and oud fragrance that's more youthful, more playful, more mass appealing, and just easier to wear. And of course, being oud fragrances, both of these fragrances are extremely loud, they project very heavily and last easily up to 12 hours. Now, every collection needs that one statement piece, something that screams, I smell good and I know it. And for me, that's Clive Christian's Blonde Amber. Funny story about this fragrance is that I blind bought this fragrance. I know, insane, but I am so glad I did because it paid off, and this is honestly one of my favorite fragrances of all time and something I'm always going to have in my collection. So what does this stuff actually smell like? Honestly, it's very hard to describe this fragrance. It's so complex. It has a lot of notes. But in the opening, I get a lot of dried fruits, a lot of rum, a lot of boozy notes. It smells like candied fruits in a way, but in a very non-synthetic and very high quality way. And as this fragrance dries down, that fruitiness and booziness starts to go away, and more of that vanilla and amber mix in the base starts to come out. And honestly, it just smells so good. It smells like $1,000,000. So is it expensive? Yes. But is it going to make me the best smelling man in any room I enter? Also yes. And finally, to end this video, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite releases from last year, Kilian's Smoking Hot. This is one of the most unique fragrances in my collection, but also one of the loudest fragrances in my collection. Every time someone asks me to describe this, all I could really say is that it smells like a double apple hookah. It's very sweet and very intense in the opening. You definitely pick up that apple and you get that very smoky tobacco in the background. And as this fragrance dries down, the apple and tobacco sort of disappear, and this fragrance dries down in a very similar way to Kilian's Angel Share, but with a masculine twist. And I'm not joking when I say this stuff is super loud. It's going to fill up any room that you walk into. People are definitely going to notice this fragrance, and it lasts for a decent amount of time, around 8 hours. And yeah, those were my picks for my favorite winter fragrances for 2024. Let me know what you think of my picks. Let me know what your favorite fragrances for winter are, and let me know what you guys want me to make next.